You focus on the road, though.
I do. I will.
Okay, good.
It's
I
running.
like that.
Okay.
Good.
So hey, guys, this is like my impromptu interviewing a politician in the car format. So this is Steve Farley from Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. I've actually met you once before.
Yeah.
So please briefly tell
But
my
I know
Finnish
you will
viewers.
from reputation.
Yeah.
Because of your work with Kid constantly. So
Yeah.
That's what they talk about. When
Kids
you
hiding in the
are.
background. So
Yes,
kids,
yes.
Steve's fiance. So please tell briefly who you are and where you're from and what do you do.
Well, I'm Steve Farley. I'm a public artist and a political leader. I have been in the state legislature for the last 12 years. Just ended that because I ran for governor last year in a 2-year process. Wasn't quite able to make it through the primary, but was able to gain a lot of support for a lot of other people, so we were able to make some pretty unprecedented gains for Democrats in that last election in Arizona.
Yeah, because Arizona is considered it used to be considered a Republican state, but now it's called what do you call a purple state, right?
Right, it's absolutely right on the edge. Our state House of Representatives is 31-29 now.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's the most representation Democrats have had in the last 53 years.
That is a lot, and you can see that even in like Texas. You can see in a lot of states that used to be kind of given to Republicans, and you're one of the reasons. I have
well,
to say.
that's right. I was out there constantly working, not just on my behalf for governor, but being out there and working on behalf of legislative candidates and statewide candidates. We now have our number 2 elected official in Arizona is now a Democratic woman who was a close colleague of mine. I served with her for 8 years.
Yeah.
Our U.S. Senator is now Kyrsten Sinema, who I served with her in leadership in the state house. There's another person I served in the state house, Ann Kirkpatrick, got elected, defeated a Republican to take the seat back for Democrats in the U.S. Congress in Tucson. So it was a pretty great season to be able to do that.
Yeah. You served for 12 years now in state senate.
12 years in the state legislature, 6 in the Senate, and 6 before that in the House of Representatives.
That is remarkable.
2 bodies.
And now you're currently running for mayor, correct?
I'm now running for mayor of Tucson because while I lost the primary last August, I won in the city of Tucson.
Yeah.
So I know that I can win that one. I actually came at this from city issues in the first place. The way I got into politics in the first place was I was just a public artist, a graphic designer. I've run my own graphic design business since 1991.
Yeah.
But I got interested in transportation and how we could get better public transportation in Tucson. And I started a group called Tucsonans for Sensible Transportation. And we got on the ballot an initiative that would have built light rail, better buses, bikeways, sidewalks, and neighborhood street maintenance. We got 18,000 signatures of people to do that.
Yeah.
Then we got on the ballot, and we were leading with a month to go, and then the home builders and the car dealers put in a bunch of money to kill it, and we lost 60-40. But then I went over to the home builders office the day after we lost, and they defeated us. And I told them we're going to have to work together and figure out what infrastructure works for everybody, or else we'll just keep beating each other up and never build anything we need. And that started a process where a whole bunch of people who used to fight each other came together and created this new thing called the Regional Transportation Authority for all of Pima County, a much larger regional area.
Yeah.
And in that was more bus service, bikeways, and sidewalks than mine, and it had the money for the Tucson modern streetcar light rail system.
Yeah, well, now we're
completely
the streetcar. This is actually interesting because we have a city called Tampere in Finland, which is like relatively the same size as Tucson, I would say.
Yeah.
Actually, smaller a bit, but in Finnish size, it's like a significant city in Finland. And they're building a light rail currently, like a streetcar.
Sure.
And you're known for this project.
Yeah, I came up with the idea originally. In fact, I found a yellowing op-ed, an opinion piece I wrote for the local newspaper in Tucson in 1998.
Yeah.
Where I called for that to have it happen. So I worked tirelessly until 16 years later we opened it.
Yeah.
$200 million system, 4 miles, and it has completely transformed the downtown area completely. It used to be a dead area. Nobody was there except for if they had to work in the government center. Now there's 24/7 activity. There's cranes in the air building new projects everywhere. It's where everyone wants to be.
It's crazy. Like when I visited Tucson a year and a half ago, I was talking to a lot of people and they were telling how their house value shot up after that because you were able to. I'm gonna fix the camera just a bit.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We're shaking because I'm driving them to the airport. That's why I stole Steve for a bit to talk to him about his work.
Right.
So yeah.
He is, however, not holding the camera.
No, I went to Walmart and got a really, really pricey $5 holder, which is shaking. But yeah, so a lot of people.
Nothing but the finest paved roads.
Yeah, actually, this is a great segue. That's a great segue to start talking about infrastructure.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah, because this is something that I'm driving on a road right now that's, in some cases it's in good health and some places not. Who is in control of the highways in the States? Is it the government or the cities?
It's a complicated mix.
Yeah.
I mean, the federal government originally built the interstate highway system, which is like our Autobahn.
Yeah.
And that was done with federal grants. I think ultimately they changed it to 90% federal money and 10% local money for the match. That's the way it still has been for some, but then that's changed over time. With transit systems, on the other hand, the best it's ever been has been 50-50.
Yeah.
And the local had to pay for it. And then there's local roads, neighborhood streets. There's a mix of local funding. There's state funding for state highways. And in some states, they have state rail systems. We're trying to get more of that.
Yeah.
And then the federal just still takes a big part in federal highways and interstate highways. The problem is the federal government has not done their part in recent years, and there's been real struggles.
Oh, you can see it
because when we built the interstate highway system in the 1950s, we had a 90% top marginal income tax rate.
Yeah.
Now the top marginal income tax rate is 30%.
Yeah.
People are still making a lot of money. They're just not paying it to government.
That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing because people often talk about the Scandinavian system, the so-called welfare system, progressive tax rates.
Yeah.
They talk about like a radical system, but you guys used to have a system.
We did, yeah. The first John F. Kennedy made a dramatic cut, and it's been cutting ever since.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is pushing for a return to 90% income tax rates or corporate tax rates, but I think that there's something we can do in the meantime, which is there's still a lot of money out there looking to invest somewhere. If we were able to use public-private partnerships to be able to have large equity funds with private investors to invest and build our infrastructure so taxpayers don't have to, and perhaps get their return on their investment through real estate development, where we, particularly in rail, I think there's a very promising possibility for that.
You're known as one of those politicians who likes to reach across the aisle, and you're not partisan in any kind of way.
Well, that's because I'm kind of a policy geek. I just like getting stuff done. Yeah. We have enough of reality show stars and ideological warriors. I think most people just want grown-ups in the room to solve problems.
And I think Arizonians would be people who like that kind of thing, because John McCain was, well, he as a presidential candidate, he had to kind of lean into a more kind of right-wing thing, but
which was unfortunate, because the reason that he would have been an attractive president was because he thought for himself.
Exactly, right? Correct.
Because he was doing what was right for Arizona, not what was right for his individual party.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people want more than anything else right now.
And it's just a rotten shame that
the polarization that's in this country is devastating. And it's not just this country, it's around the world now. Oh, this is our biggest challenge for democracies everywhere.
We have exactly the same. I'm reading, like, it's like the blame game it's all about blame. I wrote an article like 2 days ago about this, because I find it that people seek blame more than solutions.
Well, that's more about demonization.
Exactly, right.
When you start to get to the point where people think of each other as enemies instead of fellow Americans who may disagree on some things, then you've gotten a very, very dangerous spot in our history. Yeah. But I see other countries going through the same sort of problem.
And populism, actually, we started that wave in Europe, and it's funny how in some cases, like, we saw our version of the neocon thing in the early 2000s, right, which came kind of that way, but populism certainly came.
The whole Brexit thing was a shock for most of us.
Yeah.
And shortly after, we saw Donald Trump come on the same type of wave.
Using these kind of weapons that are, we have some politicians that are just really good at just saying the simplest solutions, which normally tend to blame a minority for something. And this is such an old school tactic going back not too many decades, when which one I'm talking about. It's just scary, right? It's not. Do you have faith as a politician?
Throughout history, when political leaders combine simple solutions with demonization, it never works out well.
Yeah.
But it's something we've seen throughout world history.
But
I think that it's a response to the rapid globalization we've seen in the world, in which people feel like that
they don't matter, right? As well.
There's so much happening to everything all the time, and they don't feel like they're doing well, but they see people on TV or the internet who are doing well, and they feel like, why are they getting well and I'm not? Or they feel like there's some horrific thing happening in some other part of the world, and we feel it directly because it comes to us immediately.
Yeah.
And it causes a sense of fear in us that can be easily manipulated by those who would like to use that fear to gain power. And we start to distrust our own direct experience in our real life.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole atomization that has come from social media.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where you have this sense that things should be simple and quick, and anything that takes time or is complicated is dismissed more easily than anything else, because you're always getting in your newsfeed something that you agree with already that says it's simple.
You can also see in the kind of sound bites why Donald Trump became the candidate.
Yeah.
You had 17 some candidates who were trying to make nuanced policies, or of course there's a lot of, not that I'm not saying that there were 17 that were high quality, but I'm going to say that Donald Trump was able to just sell his point with sound bites like build the wall. There were candidates who were trying to be nuanced.
And all candidates are trying to do the simple stuff
right?
now. It doesn't matter what party you're on. There's people saying it's simple on the left, it's simple on the right, it's simple in the middle.
Exactly, yeah.
And things aren't simple. But I do believe there is hope to get beyond this moment, because I think people are starting to understand that. Their own lives are complicated. All of our lives are complicated. But there are things we can do to actually help and create better policy that helps people's lives on a local level, on a state level, and then ultimately on a national level. But I think it's got to start locally and on a state level, because our federal, it just seems so caught up in that whole battle of personalities and celebrities and demonization and just get something on the other guy so you can get reelected again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the folks who are actually doing the work at a city level, a county level, a state level, have to provide your basic needs of public safety and healthcare and education and transportation. That you've got to deliver that.
Yeah.
And that's not partisan stuff.
No,
that's just stuff you just got to get done, and everybody wants to get done.
And you're making.
There are solutions that we can do to be able to make that stuff happen, to help give people's better lives.
Exactly.
And then you just end up with the sideshow in DC that becomes less relevant if we create people's better lives at a local level.
And it seems like the Democratic Party sometimes goes to the same lengths as, so let's say like Fox News did a model of, this kind of, it's not, you have a really short segment of news and then they just have a lot of sensational stuff. Now NBC has gone towards that model on the other side, and and you can see also Republicans and Democrats both have like candidates that are now kind of the
more celebrity oriented and more simple solutions.
Yeah.
There was a pretty good documentary I saw at Sundance that was about the behavioral health crisis we're in, where it talked about our jails being the number one mental institution in the country now.
Yeah.
And that's where there's so much behavioral health issues that are causing that, and the whole crisis of serious mental illness and what was going on. And there was actually one section in there that I got really upset by. It was a speech they had from Patrick Kennedy, who is like one of the Kennedys.
Yes.
He's a congressman, or was a congressman, and he was talking about mental illness, and he got up and he made a statement about behavioral health, and he started out saying, it's not complicated. And just the phrase, it's not complicated, is demagoguery.
By definition.
The behavioral health system in this country is an absolutely crucial thing we need to come up solutions for, but solutions will not come from saying it's not complicated. It is complicated.
By definition,
and we've got to work together to be able to find solutions, of which there are solutions, but it isn't helpful when you say it's simple and then you can't deliver. Because the people then get cynical, and then they choose whoever they think is going to deliver whatever.
Who gives the next soundbite, right?
Or manufactures what they think means deliver. There are things we can do, but we have to work on them together and understand that the solutions aren't always going to be simple, but that doesn't mean that they're wrong.
What are the kind of like issues right now in Tucson, in Arizona, that people are talking about mostly currently?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that people don't talk often enough about, what we need to talk often about, is climate change.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all over the world, but certainly in southern Arizona, where we have seen our temperature go as high as 130. It's problematic.
Yeah.
This is a source of livability. We're at risk of unlivable temperatures. We're at the risk of fires, wildland fires that have been developing in larger frequency. We're at the risk of losing our water. And water is a huge crisis right now.
Yeah.
So natural resources are huge, and the whole climate change thing and what it's creating in terms of this instability, we've got to start mitigating it by reducing our carbon emissions. But there's ways we can do that and benefit at the same time.
Yeah.
There's no reason with the lack of cloud cover we have in Arizona why we shouldn't be the source of all energy from solar for this country.
Yeah, why not? And you guys are
and
great.
We could make money off of that doing that in Arizona.
For sure. And there's a strange demonization of renewable sources, and like the whole coal talk that you guys have been having since Trump. Right. I heard a number that how many like 10 times or 20 or 30 or 40 times the solar industry keeps employing people compared to the coal industry.
Plus, coal is just too expensive economically for power users
not viable
to use anymore.
Right?
But solar energy is continuously becoming cheaper and cheaper.
And it's funny how, it's not funny at all, but it's strange how, like in Finland, we see climate change gradually as like less harsh winters and that sort of way. But you guys live in an area where you drastically see it every year.
Right.
Of course, we see it as well, but you guys are starting to live in unlivable conditions in some cases, right?
I mean, the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport shut down for an entire day last summer.
Yeah.
Because it was too hot for the planes to fly.
Seriously.
And that is only going to get worse as time goes on. Within 10 years, that'll be a full month every summer that the main port for the state of Arizona is closed down.
And then we have like one of these cold spells coming to Chicago, and people start saying,
because the polar vortex breaks up and causes this unstable thing, but people will say, "Oh, there's no global
even the
warming.
president."
It's so cold
I think
now.
the president said that as well, which is not surprising, but But
that there is the idea that everyone should understand the science and it should make instant intuitive sense.
Yeah.
Well, climate is one of those things we don't fully understand.
No.
A lot like behavioral health. It's complicated. But we do know that the more swings, we're seeing the swings, we're seeing the storms, we're seeing the back and forth.